Good morning, everyone. My name is Stephen Kerrigan. I'm the president of the board of the Massachusetts Military Heroes Fund. Thank you for coming this morning. At this point, please rise for the presentation of the colors by the Massachusetts Joint Service Color Guard and remain standing for the singing of our national anthem by Massachusetts State Police Sergeant James Connor.
Left, right. On time, march. Color guard, out.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Once again, good morning and welcome to our ceremony. We gather this morning in an important place at an important time, given the challenges the people, this city, and our Commonwealth have faced. For nearly 380 years, this common has been a gathering place for the masses, most especially those preparing for and suffering through the ravages of battle. Farmhands became militiamen here on the eve of our revolution. The redcoats encamped here for 8 long years. Soldiers, black and white, were recruited here during our Civil War. And in the Great World Wars, these fields sprouted their very first victory gardens, even as the iron fencing was carted away to make more munitions. Today we gather to honor those who came before us and to carry on that legacy, connecting this ground to the brave men and women from Massachusetts who fought and died in our wars. We stand here humbly before 33,000 American flags. Their image is jarring, and as you can see, this display stops people literally in their tracks. And that, of course, is exactly the point. Yesterday, I was honored to join our own army of volunteers who, using nothing more than a screwdriver and some elbow grease, planted this flag garden. These flags honor each of the service members from Massachusetts who fell in service of our country from the days of the Civil War until present day. These flags will remain in place until Monday evening at sunset. This presentation is our gift to the people of Massachusetts and to any and all families who have lost a loved one in war. We at the Massachusetts Military Heroes Fund hope this is a site of reflection, and in particular offers the families of those who have most recently lost loved ones a measure of peace, tranquility, and comfort. But we also hope that this is a site of inspiration, to do nothing less than reclaim Memorial Day from the family cookout, Cape traffic, and summer movies. On Patriots' Day, our Commonwealth celebrates those who fought for and won our freedoms. Boston, our Commonwealth, and our nation stood strong this Patriots' Day and since to help, to heal, to comfort, and to proudly guard our traditions. This Memorial Day weekend, let us remember the fallen from our past and our all too painful present. Let us physically and rhetorically plant our flag on Memorial Day to again stand for the ideals it was created upon. On the 5th of May in 1868, General John A. Logan commander of the Grand Army of the Republic and a Civil War hero himself, issued in just over 450 words an order designed to ensure that no generation ever forgot those who fell in battles fought, won, and lost, so that our republic might remain free. But his order, instructive as it was, also admonished us. He said, "Let no vandalism of avarice or neglect, no ravages of time, testify to the present or to the coming generations that we have forgotten as a people the cost of a free and undivided republic." So please stand with us all today to help on this day and all others to fulfill General Logan's orders. Let us as individuals, as a city, and as a commonwealth do that today and every day forward. Thank you. This garden of flags, the 33,000 you see behind me, was put together with our own army of volunteers, but we couldn't have gotten to this day and throughout, frankly, the entire year of service that we provide to our heroes' families without the great support of so many people, and I'd like to take a moment to thank some of them right now. For help with today's event, Michael Wasserman and Chris Ferris, David Garino, our sponsors, John Hancock Financial, Bank of America Charitable Foundation, Citizens Bank, the Army Survivor Outreach Services, Boston Parks and Recreation Department, Massachusetts Department of Veteran Services, Secretary Coleman Nee is here, and we thank him, Massachusetts Joint Service Color Guard, Natick Soldier Systems Center, and two other folks who I will thank as I introduce them. It is my great pleasure every year at this event to welcome you all to this flag garden, but it is also a great honor for me to welcome a great friend to the Mass Military Heroes Fund who has done an awful lot throughout the course of his administration and his Lieutenant Governor's administration to support veterans and their families and their survivors. And so I welcome to the podium our Governor, His Excellency Deval Patrick.
Thank you very much, Steve, for your really beautiful remarks, and to you and Christy and Diane and all the team at the Massachusetts Military Heroes Fund. Thank you for organizing once again this extraordinarily powerful silent tribute, a tribute to the cost of freedom. A special welcome to all of the families who have lost soldiers and sailors and other servicemen and women, and all of those 33,000 families you represent. Thank you for teaching and showing by example what service and sacrifice means. We give you honor today. I want to acknowledge the Mayor, the Attorney General, Secretary Nee, the other dignitaries and officials who were here, and all of the citizens who have joined us today to acknowledge the tremendous sacrifice represented today, represented by this memorial, but also to remember those who are in service today continuing to protect the freedoms we hold so dear. We honor them, we thank them, and we will not forget them. A few weeks ago, our community was challenged by an unspeakable act of random violence. And in so many ways, out of the dust of that tragedy, what emerged was a stronger sense of community than, in some respects, I think we'd ever seen. So many people turned to rather than on each other. And I hope that today we will remember not just that sacrifice, but also that living remnant of sacrifice, that sense of togetherness and common cause and common destiny, because that, I believe, will be the solution to everything that ails us going forward. God bless you all, and thank you for joining us today.
At this time, I'd like to introduce the proud mother of one of our heroes, Captain Christopher J. Sullivan, Dolly Sullivan, to come to the podium.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dolly Sullivan, and I'd like to thank you all for coming here today to this important ceremony. As a mother who knows the true meaning of Memorial Day, I'd like to share with you an excerpt from the 1868 Order of General Logan, written shortly after the Civil War. This order has established our earliest Memorial Day traditions, and that is guiding our observances today. General Order Number 11. Let no vandalism, avarice, or neglect, nor ravages of time testify to the present or to the coming generations that we have forgotten as a people the cost of a free and undivided republic. If other eyes grow dull, other hands slack, and other hearts cold in solemn trust, ours shall keep it well as long as the light and warmth of life remain to us. Let us then, at the time appointed, gather around their sacred remains and garland the passionless mounds above them with the choicest flowers of springtime. Let us raise above them the dear old flag they saved from his honor. Let us, in this solemn presence, renew our pledges to aid and assist those whom they have left among us. A sacred charge upon a nation's gratitude, the soldiers and sailors, widow and orphan, by order of General Logan, May 5th, 1868.
It is my great honor to introduce the greatest mayor in the history of the United States of America, our mayor, Mayor Thomas M. Menino.
Thanks, Steve, for that introduction. And I just say that I want to thank the Mass Military Fund for once again having this services. These are very important. We shall never forget the sacrifices individuals make for us to have freedom today. And I want to thank also all the volunteers who planted these flags. I'm honored to pay tribute to all of you. Thank you for the good work this organization does every day to support our military families. Behind me are 33,000 American flags, the Massachusetts men and women who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. Time to remember, we wouldn't have the freedom today if we didn't have the folks who made the sacrifices. And that's why we have the freedom in America today. We should never, ever forget that. Sometimes I've gone to memorial service for the last 20 years. Sometimes I get discouraged because how few people remember, how few show up for that. They'd rather be down open in their cottage. But if these individuals didn't give their sacrifices, we wouldn't have the freedom we have in America today. To all yours, happy Memorial Day. Thank you all.
At this time, I'd like to introduce another proud mother of one of our fallen heroes, Alma Hart, the proud mother of Private First Class John D. Hart.
In the rising of the sun and its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of the buds and the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the skies and the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of the leaves and the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick of heart, we remember them. When we have joys and special celebrations that we learn to share, we remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are part of us. We remember them.
I'd like to introduce the State Director for the Army Survivor Outreach Services, Mr. Helan Wiley.
Well, I am Helan Wiley. I'm the, not director, but I'm the support coordinator for the Army Survivor Outreach Services program. And it's my honor to be here with you all today and with the Massachusetts Military Heroes Fund. I have the privilege of introducing the most sacred part of our program and the annual tradition in this Commonwealth, and that is the roll call the names of every husband, wife, son, daughter, mother, father, brother, sister, aunt, niece, nephew, cousin, grandchild, neighbor, and friend who voluntarily answered the call of duty since September 11, 2001 by putting on an armed service uniform and giving their life in service to our country. I'd also like to thank for joining us today Miss Patty Lovering and all of the teachers and staff and the teachers, the staff, the chaperones for bringing the O'Donnell Middle School from Stoughton here today. They took a detour from their tour of the Freedom Trail to have one of their students participate in today's ceremony. And that's the young man over there, Mr. Corey Igmanson. He's going to join. He will be joining the Gold Star and Survivor families in planting flags. He's going to plant a flag in honor of his dad. It is through traditions such as this, as the reading of these names, that we fulfill our vow to remember and honor their ultimate sacrifice. So I would now first invite all of the planters to join over this section so you can pick up your flag. So I'm calling forth these dear family and friends of our brave heroes to read the names of their loved ones as we plant the final flags in honor and in their honor, completing this Memorial Day Flag Garden tribute. Thank you.
Sergeant Glenn Richard Allison. Major Philip D. Ambard. Specialist Scott A. Andrews. Our son, Lance Corporal Alexander Scott Arredondo. Specialist David J. Babineau. First Lieutenant Andrew J. Basevich. Sergeant Robert Barrett. Private First Class Matthew A. Bean. Lance Corporal Jeff Michael Lucy.
Our son, Sergeant James Anthony Ayub II. Sergeant Gregory M. Ballinger. Staff Sergeant Joseph P. Benson. Sorry, I apologize. Staff Sergeant Joseph P. Belavue. Specialist Kenneth D. Benson. Staff Sergeant Alicia A. Bouchette. Sergeant Michael Bono. First Lieutenant Joshua L. Booth. Corporal Jeremy Paul Buffard. And Specialist Matthew G. Boulay.
Private Michael E. Butho. Major David L. Brodeur. Major Stephen Brothers. Major Harold E. Brown, Jr. Specialist Ari D. Brown Weeks. Lance Corporal Jeffrey C. Burgess. Lance Corporal Shane Matthew Cabino. Captain Joel E. Cahill. Sergeant William Kerr. Staff Robert R. Pirelli.
Sergeant Charles Major Jeffrey R. Calero. Sergeant First Class Keith A. Callahan. Lance Corporal Jeffrey R. Kerr. First Lieutenant Michael A. Cerrone. Private First Class Paul E. Conlon. Specialist Michael Cook.
My brother, Major David Scott Connolly. Staff Sergeant Jeremy Coombs. Staff Sergeant Specialist Daniel Francis J. Cunningham. Staff Sergeant Darren J. Cunningham. Corporal Kevin Dabrowski. Specialist Mitchell K. Dowling. Private First Class Norman Darling. Sergeant Joshua D. DeForgis. Private First Class Michael Robert D. Marsico II.
Private Corey R. Depew. Lance Corporal Travis R. DeSato. Former Navy SEAL Glenn A. Doherty. Sergeant Shane P. Duffy. Sergeant First Class Kevin DuPont. Staff Sergeant Joan J. Durant. Corporal Kira Durkin. Specialist Peter G. Enos. Corporal Paul A. Fagundes. I just wanted to read a little something. I'm not going to be taking the time. I want to say something that was a poem for my son. I'm going to include all veterans here. Tim, or I would replace this with all veterans. Oh, how we miss your beaming smile. It was everlasting from mile to mile. And when this world was mean and vile, your love was there all the while. The depth of your love is kept on file, knowing in our hearts that you served in style. Thank you.
Sergeant Andrew Kevin Farah, Jr. Second Lieutenant Chris Ferrantino. Corporal Donald E. Fisher II. Specialist Crystal Fitz. Gunnery Sergeant Elia P. Fontecchio. Lance Corporal Michael L. Ford. My son, Specialist Stephen Robert Fortunato. Sergeant Alexander H. Fuller. First Lieutenant Travis J. Fuller. Captain Anthony Fusco.
My son, Specialist Jonathan M. Curtis. Specialist Matthew R. Gallagher. Lance Corporal Patrick J. Gallagher. Tech Sergeant Jeremy Gamache. Sergeant Justin W. Garvey. Lance Corporal Edward M. Garvin. Lance Corporal Demetrios Gavriel. First Sergeant Alan N. Gifford. Sergeant Daniel R. Gionette. Specialist Ethan L. Gonzalo. Private First Class Michael A. Gorham.
Sergeant Edward S. Grace. Lieutenant Colonel Michael J. Green. Specialist Stephen Gutowski. Chief Warrant Officer 4th Eric A. Halverson. Sergeant Kyle J. Harrington. Captain Jennifer J. Harris. Private First Class John D. Hart. First Lieutenant Derek S. Hines. Sergeant Tyrone A. Hines.
Specialist Christopher J. Holland. Chief Petty Officer Kevin A. Houston. Specialist Theodore J. Ingmanson. Private First Class Kenneth J. Iwasinski. Lieutenant Colonel Leon G. James II. Sergeant Alex R. Jimenez. Private First Class Marcus J. Johnson. Captain Eric A. Jones.
Our son, First Lieutenant Ryan Patrick Jones. Sergeant Adam P. Kennedy. Chief Warrant Officer 3, Kiran E. Kennedy. Sergeant First Class Jean Baptiste Kersey. Seaman Apprentice Chad Kirsten. Corporal Paul N. King. Specialist Tremaine A. King. Private First Class John F. Landry, Jr. Specialist Kyle Little.
Sergeant Daniel J. Londono. Private First Class Brian C. Lounsbury. Lance Corporal Gregory E. McDonald. Captain John W. Maloney. Staff Sergeant Joshua L. Matero. Captain Barry McGowan. Private First Class Daniel A.C. McGuire. First Lieutenant Brian M. McPhillips. Sergeant Benjamin E. Mahaya.
Our son, Michael J. Kelly. Major Brian Mescal. Sergeant Scott J. Metcalf. Captain Seth Robert Michaud. Sergeant First Class Jared C. Monty, awarded Medal of Honor for valor on the battlefield. Sergeant Albert D. Montrod. Private First Class Brian M. Munquin. Corporal Nevin R. Marrera. Private First Class Dominic Montrunop.
Our son, Private First Class Kevin James King. Specialist David A. Mulno. Specialist Christine M. Naduri. Staff Sergeant Daniel A. Newsom. First Lieutenant Leif E. Knott. Lance Corporal Walter K. O'Hare. Corporal Brian Oliveira. Private First Class Evan W. O'Neill. Petty Officer First Class Brian J. Ouellette.
Our son, First Lieutenant Scott Milley. Specialist Gabriel T. Pelocious. Captain Anthony Palermo. Sergeant Theodore L. Perot. Sergeant First Class Daniel H. Pedithori. Specialist Gitalina Pineda. Staff Sergeant Christopher N. Piper. Sergeant First Class Stephen Policarpo. Specialist Matthew M. Polini.
Sergeant Marquise Porter. Lance Corporal Kevin Preach. Corporal Scott J. Procopio. Civilian contractor and U.S. Army veteran Paul Protsenko. Staff Sergeant Matthew Albert Puccino. Sergeant Nelson Ramirez. Specialist Jared J. Raymond. Sergeant Pierre A. Raymond.
Sergeant First Class Donald Reese. Private First Class Jonathan R. Roberge. Staff Sergeant Rob L. Rolfing. Lance Corporal Michael Ronner. Sergeant First Class Robert E. Rooney. Staff Sergeant Bruce A. Rushforth Jr. Captain Benjamin W. Samus. Sergeant Kurt D. Schamberg.
Lance Corporal Nicholas D. Scavone. Private First Class Kerry Scott. Sergeant Jordan M. Shea. Specialist Corey M. Shea. Sergeant Benjamin W. Sherman. Master Sergeant Sean Simmons. Sergeant Alan L. Snyder. Private First Class Clinton E. Springer II. Sergeant First Class Michael J. Squilacci.
Specialist Matthew J. Stanley. First Lieutenant Timothy J. Steele. Staff Sergeant Clint J. Story. Captain Christopher J. Sullivan. Special Agent Stephen Eric Sullivan. Private First Class Antonio Siracos. Sergeant Zachary D. Tellier. Sergeant Sean Thibodeau. Petty Officer Tyler J. Trahan.
Petty Officer Third Class Caitlin E. Trask, Master Sergeant Gregory R. Trent, Lance Corporal Eric P. Vanderpanis, Captain Kyle Vandergleeson, Lance Corporal John J. Van Geysen, Sergeant Mark Richard Vecchione, Corporal David M. Vincenti, Specialist Dennis Weichel, and our son, Chief Warrant Officer Stephen M. Wells.
Our son, Second Lieutenant Ian Thomas McVeigh, United States Marine Corps. Specialist Christopher M. Wilson. Sergeant William J. Wojtowski. Sergeant Gregory A. Wright.
Corporal Nicholas Zaharis, Lance Corporal Andrew J. Zabarek, Specialist Eduardo Zias.
I'm going to take advantage and just say that was the last name, but I just want to say to everybody who's here that it is good that you are sharing with us in this. It's not an easy thing every day for us. So it's good to know that on a day like today, so many people would come out and open their hearts to us and to our families, and we thank you all for that. God bless you.
To close our program, I'd invite Brigadier General Thomas J. Sellers.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for coming here today. On behalf of the Massachusetts Military Heroes Fund, ask you to keep the families and the fallen in your thoughts and prayers, not only throughout the Memorial Day weekend, but all year long. Thank you very much.
What did you think of the event today?
Oh, excellent. I'm so glad that we participate in this wonderful day of remembrance, and, and remember our sons and daughters, It's the more important thing here.
What is your name?
Carlos Arredondo.
And you're a Gold Star?
I'm a Gold Star dad.
Good. Thank you. God bless America.
Thank you.
Good morning.
How was the event today?
The event was very well attended, very well organized. So we really thank the Military Heroes Funds that put this together, and also all the volunteers and all the families that are here that are reminding us of their sacrifice of their loved ones to our nation.
What is your name?
Francisco Urena, Commissioner of Veteran Services for the City of Boston.
Thank you for coming here today.
Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
My name is so-and-so.
My name is Nancy Pirelli.
And why do you come here to this event?
To honor my son, Staff Sergeant Robert Ryan Pirelli.
And what is your hometown?
Franklin, Massachusetts.
Do you come here every year?
Every year to honor my son and everybody else.
Who's this young fella aside of you?
Justin Cavino.
And is your brother?
Yes, Shane Matthew Cabino of Franklin, Massachusetts.
He was killed in action?
Yes.
And what branch of service was he in?
The Marines.
Oh, and is your mother here?
Yes.
Oh, maybe we can get a hold of her.
She's right there.
Jody, why is it so important for you to come here?
Because we have to say their names and we have to say them out loud, that they're never forgotten.
What was your son's name?
Shane Matthew Cabino.
I'm proud to have talked to you today.
Thanks. Have a nice day, Nick.
Tell me about this program. Why is it so important to be here?
We can't forget our fallen heroes. That's the bottom line. We can't forget their names, like Ms. Cavino said.
What branch of service were you in?
I was in the Army.
And what title you have now?
I'm the Executive Director of the Mass Fallen Heroes Fund.
And talk to you.
Thanks, pal.
Okay.